Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Hello, this is Doreen, your radical success coach. Welcome to the latest episode of this podcast. I am so excited to be back on the mic, connecting with you, sharing with you, talking about the concepts and strategies that can help you create radical success in every area of your life. I have been on a hiatus the last couple of months, and I am back, and I have so much to share to catch you up on. So let's just jump right into it. If you follow me on social, if you're on my email list, if you're part of the Radical community, you know that I have been talking quite a bit about freedom the last couple of months. I actually did a special training session called The Path to Freedom, which kind of chronicles what's been happening in my life the last couple of years, and in particular, the last couple of months. And so if you haven't had a chance to check out that session, I'll have a link that you can use to go and watch that. But this path to freedom, I believe, is the path that every person should be on. And it's been highlighted for me in my journey the last couple of years, and specifically in the last couple of months. I, back in May, had the opportunity to train, present, host the Vault Conference with Steve Harvey. Many of you know I am the former Senior Vice President of Steve Harvey Global. And for the past 5 years, up until that event in May, I had the honor and privilege of running his professional and personal development platform, Act Like a Success. And Vault was my last event with him as I decided to transition out so that I can continue to build and focus on what my calling is, which is the work that I do inside of my own company, the Radical Success Institute. And by no stretch was that an easy decision for me to make. What an incredible brand to work with, what an incredible person to work with. And I talk about when we have these crossroads decisions to make, when we have these great opportunities on both sides that we have to choose between. What does that process look like? How do you decide what is the right thing to do? And I go into quite a bit of detail around that in that training session I did. So absolutely be sure to take a listen to that when you get a chance. And then last month in June, I had my Radical Success Intensive event out in the DC area. And oh my goodness, it was amazing. I cannot put into words the experience of those 2.5 days as I had the opportunity to work with women and men from all across the country on what it means to actually do the impossible. Many of us have so many visions and goals that while we talk about them, while we write them down, while we put them on vision boards, there's a part of us in many cases that really don't believe that is possible. And so we did such powerful in the room work on our mindset, on our strategies, on our action plans to help move what we believe deep down is impossible to possible. And I also did a recap session of that intensive that you can also take a listen to. You can also watch, and I'll also include the link for that in the show notes as well. In addition to those two incredible events, I also launched two new tracks inside of the Radical Success Institute. And we are working to transform the lives of people in one of two ways. You are either one that needs to be coached, or you are someone who wants to become a life coach. And whichever category you fall into, these tracks are your answer. Be Coached is all a part of our Radical Success Method Mastermind. It's where I walk you through this curriculum research-based process that helps you understand who you are and why you are so that you can move past the barriers that keep you from taking action on what you already know to do. Now, if you've been hanging around this podcast or the radical community, you know that I am crystal clear that information is never the problem. Knowing what to do is never the issue. We live in the information age. And so even if you don't know all of the steps you need to take, you know enough to get you started. And if you know what to do and you're not doing it, then there's something else at play. And that something else are your fears, your thoughts, your habits, your behaviors, your mindset. And so inside of our Radical Success Method, we teach you how to identify what your habits, thoughts, behaviors are, where they came from, and then to determine whether they are serving you or hindering you. And if they are hindering you, we walk you through a process to shift your mindset so that you can then adopt the behaviors, the habits, the thoughts, and the beliefs that move you in the direction of your goals. And so that's our track if you want to be coached. We also have a track for those people who want to become certified radical success coaches. We have launched this brand new training and certification program for those of you who are life coaches, life strategists, personal development coaches. And this is designed to take your coaching skills to the next level. This is designed to show you how to create real transformation for your clients. How do you address their fears, their limiting beliefs, their procrastination? How are you able to help them identify the layers that need to be peeled back so that they can then move forward and take the action they want to take? And this certification program is really designed to do two things. Number one, give you the skill set to go out and coach clients effectively. You get access to all of the modules, the assessments, the worksheets, the self-reflection exercises that I use with my clients when I take them through the Radical Success Method. And then secondly, we teach you how to build a profitable business. How do you get clients? How do you market? How do you enroll? How do you set your pricing structure? All of these elements are covered inside of our Radical Success Method training and certification program. And so whatever track you fall into, whether you need to be coached, you know it's time to stop playing games. You know it's time to deal with the barriers and the mindset and the challenges that are holding you back. If that's you, definitely check out our Radical Success Method Mastermind. Or you are someone who wants to be a coach, or you want to expand, grow your coaching practice, and you know that you need to up-level your skills, up-level your marketing, and up-level your results, then you want to check out our Radical Success Training and Certification Program. Either case, you can just go to DoreenRainey.com and you'll see Be Coached or Become a Coached. And so I look forward to working with all of you who've decided that now is your time to stop playing games, to stop messing around, and to get serious about creating your next level of success. And so, wow, okay, I think I've caught you all up on what's been happening. Today's episode is all about this path to freedom. I am so on it right now about designing a life that makes your soul sing. That's what freedom is. Freedom is being able to live with joy and fulfillment and to be able to make a contribution and have impact and know that you are doing the things and having the impact that you were designed, that you were created to have. And so I want to share with you 5 elements of being able to get on that path to freedom and experience this freedom. And again, I went into much more detail inside of the training I did. So definitely check out the link in the show notes to be able to access the full training. So if you are ready to get on your path to freedom, the first thing you have to do is identify what brings you joy. And I know it sounds pretty simple, but actually, a lot of people haven't done this yet. And what started it all for me was a little book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. I picked up this book back in 2014, and it was all about literally organizing, decluttering, and it focused on, things in your house, your clothes, your shoes, the things that you have laying around. And I wanted to get more organized. And so I got that book, and it asks you to go into your closet, look at your clothes, and ask, does this item of clothing bring me joy? Does it spark joy? Do I feel amazing when I wear it? Do I even wear it? And in that process, if it sparks joy, you keep it. If it doesn't spark joy, you donate it or give it away. And not only did I use this for cleaning out my closet, I started to ask this question about everything in my life. Did it spark joy? And if it didn't spark joy, why was it a part of my life? Why was I doing things, engaging with people, spending my time on things that do not spark joy? And so this first step to this freedom is identifying what in your life sparks joy, what in your life doesn't spark joy, and then go through the process of eliminating those things or even those people who don't or that don't spark joy. And for me, this wasn't a 1 day, 2 day exercise. I spent the better part of a couple of years going through this process. And I found myself identifying more and more things that did not spark joy. But I also found myself enjoying so much more the things that spark joy. So I encourage you, start with your clothes if you've never done it. Start with your shoes. Start with the items in your house. Start with all of the tchotchkes and things that you've bought over the years. And then move on to bigger things. If you're an entrepreneur, look inside of your business. What are the things that are in your business that doesn't spark joy? Now, I'm not talking about things you don't like doing, but you have to do, right? I'm talking about those things that we've added into our business for whatever reason that doesn't have to be there because it simply doesn't spark joy. Same thing with your career. Are you in a career? Are you going to a place of work that sparks joy for you? And if not, how can you begin to shift, change, adjust, apply, update your resume, network to facilitate to a career, to facilitate to a job that actually brings joy? So that's the first step on the path to freedom. That very simple question: does this spark joy or does it not spark joy? So number 2, I am so clear that in order for us to experience freedom, we have to do things that align with our core values. We have to associate ourselves with people that align with our core values. And The interesting thing about core values is that everyone's values are different. And when I work with my clients inside of the Radical Success Method, there's actually an exercise that I walk them through to help them identify what their three core values are. Because what I found is that if you ask someone, what do you value? What are your values? They can come up with things, oh, family, God, or, integrity, or, being honest. And those aren't bad values, but unless you go through a very intentional exercise about identifying your core values, then you're subject to have surface core values, or maybe you've just adopted those values from family, friends, culture, media. But once you identify your authentic core three values, then in order to feel the freedom and live freely, you have to align with those values. And what I have found is that when people feel agitated sometimes, or when people feel irritated, or they're a little angry or frustrated, and they're trying to figure out why, it's typically because they are engaging in some behavior that does not align with their values. I'll give you a very simple example. If one of your values is community or teamwork, and you find yourself working in a role where you are isolated, maybe you're back in a corner office, or maybe you're in a cube, or maybe you're dealing with the computer all day. And even if you kind of like the work that you do, you're just feeling taxed by this work. You're feeling not as if it is totally fulfilling for you, but you can't figure out why. Well, you're in a role that's rubbing up against one of your values. And so in order to alleviate that, how can you incorporate community or teamwork into the environment that you are currently in? Or do you need to go and seek a new environment that allows for community and teamwork? And so this second step around freedom is to make sure that you are aligning with your values. The third concept I want to share with you when it comes to getting on the path to freedom and staying on that path is that you may have to make some tough decisions. When I decided to transition out of working with Steve, that was not an easy decision by any stretch of the imagination. And I knew that I could stay and continue to work with him and still do some of the things that I know I'm called to do. Inside of his organization, I had the opportunity to teach and speak and coach. But what I found was that inside of my own company, I had the opportunity to grow something that really spoke to my calling, that really spoke to my purpose. And was I willing to give up something that was pretty darn good for what makes my soul sing and what I believe is absolutely going to be amazing? And so you might be in that same situation. You might have some tough decisions that you need to make. Maybe there are some decisions around your finances that it might be a little rough, it might be a little tough, but it's got to be done. Maybe there are some decisions inside of your business that you need to make. I remember working with a particular client around why she was feeling so frustrated and just overwhelmed in her business. And the truth is, she was struggling with a decision about whether she even needed to keep the business. But she had given it so much effort and energy and time. But ultimately, she made the decision to close her business. And she is more happier and freer now than she was in her business. And yes, she took a job. She's in a position that she absolutely loves. She makes great money. She's thriving. She's making a contribution to the community that she wants to impact. And so maybe there are some tough decisions that you need to make that has been blocking you from experiencing the freedom that's available to you. So that's the third thing. Make those tough decisions. Now, the fourth thing I want to share with you, if you want to create this path to freedom, is that you have to be willing to face your fears. And even before you can face your fears, you have to be willing to even acknowledge or uncover the fears that are there. The other day, I saw a post on Facebook, and they were saying, hey, if you're a business owner, share the best piece of advice you have for other business owners. And the advice that I shared, I said that if you know what to do and you are not doing it, there's something else at play. You can get all the marketing strategies, all the sales strategies. You can get all of the funnels set up and your opt-in set up. You can create beautiful websites, and you can know what to do with that marketing strategy. You can know what to do with that sales strategy. You can have the information on driving people to your website. You can have the information on how to go out and use social media. But if you have that information and you're not doing it, there's something else at play. And that something else is fear. And fear is an umbrella for so many things, right? Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of looking stupid, fear of losing money, fear of making a mistake, fear of being judged, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of losing friends, fear of losing family. There's all these fears that we may not even know we have. We just know that we're supposed to be doing something and we're not doing it. And if that is you, whether it comes to your business, whether it's around your finances, whether it's around your corporate career, there are some things that you should be doing to get to the goals that you say you want and you're not doing it. There's something else at play, and that something else is fear. And you have to be willing to do the deep, personal, vulnerable work to uncover what your fears are, where they have come from, and how the heck are you going to manage them and move past them once and for all. How are you going to shift your mindset around your fears so they no longer block you, they no longer hinder you, they no longer hold you hostage? And it is a doozy, that fear thing. That's why I'm so passionate about personal transformation. That's why I'm so passionate about coaching people through the Radical Success Method to help them do this very thing, to help them identify why haven't they taken action. It is critical. And you've heard me say this before. If you have goals that you haven't moved on, or that you've made very, very little or incremental progress on, and you've had these goals for 6 months, for a year, for 3 years, for 5 years, maybe even 10 years or more, there is something else at play. And if you want to be free, to go after these goals with all of the excitement and intention and focus that it deserves, you have got to be willing to uncover, discover, manage, eliminate, and deal with the fears that have a strong hold on you. So that's number 4. Your freedom is on the other side of facing your fears. And then the final concept I want to share with you today around getting and staying on your path to freedom is that we need to move with a sense of urgency. I think some of us believe that path to freedom is just going to be there whenever we're ready to jump on it. And we all know that time is the one commodity that is non-negotiable. And so to begin to live not with anxiety, not with overwhelm, not with anxiousness, but with a sense of intentional urgency. That not only gets you on your path to freedom, but it gets you to experience freedom quicker, faster, sooner. So what have you been hesitating on? What have you been lollygagging on? What have you been telling yourself or trying to convince yourself of the fact that, yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to do that next week, next month, next year. Many people live in a perpetual state of procrastination. They literally put off everything that they say is important to them all the time. They put off setting a budget and sticking to that budget. They put off setting up and sticking to that workout schedule. They put off following up with customers or potential clients who said they're interested in their business. They put off having difficult conversations with people so that they can clear the air, so that they can move on, so that they can take that relationship to a new place that's filled with more love and trust and communication. Where are you procrastinating? Where are you allowing your idea that there's always going to be tomorrow keep you from doing what is necessary for you to do today? Operate with a sense of urgency. You need you to get those things done. Your family needs you to get those things done. Your clients, your customers, your next employer, your community, they need you to get those things done. And so today's episode is all about helping you see that in order for you to experience the freedom, that freedom of however you define it, you've got to be willing to, number one, identify what brings you joy, identify what doesn't bring you joy, and work on transitioning those things out of your life. You've got to be crystal clear on what your core values are, and then commit to honoring those values in everything that you do. You've got to be willing to make some tough decisions. Some of you already know what those decisions are. It's not that you have to make the decision, it's that you've made it, you just have not been bold or courageous enough to act on them. And so today is a challenge for you to act on those decisions that you've already made. And you also have to be willing to face your fears. There is a fear there if you are in procrastination. There is a fear there if you have been stuck just gathering information, doing the research, getting the data, but not taking action. There is fear there if you sit down and you plan things out, you create a schedule, you create timelines, and then you don't follow through. Be willing to do the deep personal work to shift your mindset to be able to identify, manage, eliminate, or deal with the fears that you have. And then finally, move with a sense of urgency. We've got things to do, places to go, people to help. The world is waiting on us. And so let's get it in gear. Let's get it going. Let's go out there and make it happen. Well, that wraps up this latest episode of the Radical Success Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. I encourage you that if this podcast has been helping you, motivating you, inspiring you, giving you some aha moments, please share this podcast with everyone in your community, your family, your friends. Let them know that this is a great podcast that they should listen to if they have some big goals that they are working on. And then finally, if you're ready to face some fears, if you're ready to identify what brings you joy, are you ready to identify your core values? I would absolutely love to work with you inside of our upcoming Radical Success Method Mastermind. This is your opportunity to take a deep dive and get to know who you are and why you are. And then if you want to be a life coach, if you want to help people live their best life, I encourage you to check out our training and certification program. You'll get the coaching skills as well as the business strategies to grow a profitable business. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you on our next episode. Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.